Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you're in. Welcome back to Sip&Talk. I am Sunny.
Morning, everyone. I am Joe.
And honestly, I just have to say it, this July heat is absolutely brutal right now. I wake up every morning feeling like a piece of roasting bacon. It is just out of control.
Oh, it is terrible. Just stepping outside is an ordeal.
Right. But, I was looking at the financial news this morning, and I realized the global markets are somehow acting even crazier than the weather.
Yeah, things are definitely running hot.
It is so frustrating because everyone on the news, they keep saying, oh, oil prices are dropping, inflation is cooling. But I am looking at my summer AC bill and the price of my daily iced lattes, and I am definitely not feeling any kind of economic cool down at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the classic disconnect. It is totally normal to feel that way because you are looking at retail inflation. Those are the sticky prices at the register.
Exactly, the stuff that actually hits my bank account.
Right. But Wall Street, they look at macro futures. So, yes, it is true that those recent memo negotiations with Iran, they really eased the massive panic we had on the supply side.
Because the shipping lanes are clearing up, right?
Exactly. That diplomatic relief brought international oil futures back down to pre-conflict levels. But here is the thing. You cannot celebrate just yet because the Federal Reserve is staying super aggressive.
Oh, Kevin Warsh and the whole higher for longer stance.
You got it. They are keeping a hardline stance on interest rates. So that keeps the U.S. dollar incredibly strong, but it acts like a vice grip on consumer wallets.
So basically, industrial refineries might get cheaper crude oil today, but that savings never actually makes it down to my local coffee shop because the overarching environment is just so tight.
Yeah, pretty much. We are going to be sweating through a few more summers of tight budgets, unfortunately.
Ugh, that is rough. But, speaking of things running at a boiling point, we really need to look at the tech and geopolitical spheres today.
Oh, absolutely. The heat there is entirely off the charts.
I mean, everybody thought the AI hype was supposed to cool down by now, but instead, big tech capital expenditure, their CapEx, it has mutated into this absolute bottomless pit.
It is wild. They were just throwing money at it.
Right. And it is not just lifting software companies anymore. The sheer scale of building these AI data centers is pulling traditional industrial and power stocks up right along with it. It is like this rising AI tide is lifting all the boats, even the old legacy ones.
I like that metaphor, but honestly, it is even bigger than that. That AI CapEx cycle has spread from just the chips all the way into the real economy infrastructure. Concrete, steel, power grids.
Yeah, you cannot run those servers on nothing.
Exactly. But today on Sip and Talk, we're not just looking at the tech bills. We are diving into some seriously deep geopolitical waters, too.
Oh, yeah, we have a massive lineup today.
We are going to unpack Trump's diplomatic maneuvers right ahead of the NATO summit in Turkey. Plus, we will look at how global asset managers are moving their money defensively into these resilient sectors.
Basically a masterclass in navigating geopolitical risk and high interest rates all at once.
Exactly. So let's just jump right into that AI CapEx black hole, because it is actively restructuring our entire U.S. tech scene right now.
It really is. I mean, the market just had its best week since early May, and it was almost entirely driven by semiconductor optimism.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Broadcom just expanded their custom chip deal with Apple. That runs all the way through 2031 now, which is massive.
Yeah, their shares jumped over 4% on that news alone. Plus, you have SpaceX officially joining the NASDAQ Q100 index,
which is a huge milestone. And then you have SK Hynix making this massive $28 billion U.S. debut.
Wait, they are the South Korean company, right?
Right. And they dominate the market for high bandwidth memory, or HBM chips. They hold a 57.7% market share, which is just staggering.
We should probably explain why HBM is such a big deal, because everybody talks about GPUs, like the NVIDIA chips.
Yeah, the ones that actually train the AI.
Right. But a GPU is basically a race car with a tiny gas tank. It cannot do anything unless it has those HBM chips stacked right next to it, feeding it data instantly. SK Hynix basically perfected that vertical stacking technology, which is why they own almost 60% of the market.
And by coming to the U.S., they are tapping right into our liquidity. But, I want to push back on all this optimism for a second.
Okay, lay it on me.
Because there is a really harsh reality check happening outside of that specific AI bubble. These data centers are not just a rising tide. They are a resource black hole.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, they are literally starving other tech sectors. Just look at Microsoft's Xbox division. They just announced they are laying off 300 to 200 employees.
Wow, that is like, what, 20% of their staff?
Exactly. 20%. And the reason why is terrifying for average consumers. The memory and storage chips you need to build an Xbox are projected to cost 5 times more by 2027.
Wait, sorry, a 500% increase, just for memory.
Yes, 5 times more, solely because AI data centers are devouring the entire global supply chain.
I mean, that perfectly illustrates the raw power of having an unlimited budget. The hyperscalers, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they treat AI like an arms race. If memory chips cost a fortune, they just write the check.
Right, they do not even blink.
But a consumer division like Xbox, they operate on razor-thin margins. Sometimes they even sell the physical console at a loss just to get you into their ecosystem. So when the parts cost 5 times more, the math just completely falls apart.
They're essentially pricing their own consumer tech divisions right out of existence. It is wild.
It really is. Quick pause, though, for our Sip and Talkers. While we're getting deep into specific stocks and funds today, just remember we are not investment advisors. This is purely for informational context.
Yeah, absolutely. Always do your own research. But speaking of money flowing into the markets, we have to talk about this massive influx of cash hitting Wall Street this week.
Oh, this is the government-seeded retail stuff, right?
Yeah. So we are shifting from corporate capex to retail. Trump literally rang the NYSE and NASDAQ opening bells directly from the Oval Office.
Wait, I saw a clip of that. Did he use an actual gong?
He used a physical gong. It was to officially launch these new tax-advantaged Trump accounts for children born between 2025 and 2028.
The mechanics of this policy are honestly fascinating. So the government is seeding every eligible kid's account with a flat $1,000.
Just $1,000 right off the bat.
Right. But they are also getting major tech players to pile in. Micron pledged $250 million, and Michael Dell is contributing heavily as well.
So when you add up the federal seed money and all those private donations, you are looking at roughly $800 million in brand new capital hitting the stock market this week alone.
And all of that money is being funneled by the Treasury into one specific vehicle. It is State Street's SPYM ETF.
The S&P 500 fund.
Exactly. It is a broad market fund with a tiny 2 basis point fee. That means it is incredibly low cost, which is perfect for maximizing compound interest over an 18-year timeline.
I mean, the structure makes sense, but
Yeah.
let's be real for a second. I look at this and I just see a state-sponsored FOMO trade for infants.
A FOMO trade for infants. That is hilarious.
I mean, think about it. $800 million is absolute pocket change for a market dominated by multi-trillion-dollar tech giants. Does that actually move the needle? Or is it just brilliant political optics ahead of the midterms?
Well, if we look at it strictly impartially, the behavioral economics are actually super interesting here. You are right. $800 million doesn't inflate Apple's market cap.
Not even close.
But think of it like priming a global water pump. They are fundamentally altering the psychological timeline of retail investing. By giving millions of kids an S&P 500 ETF at birth, they are creating an entire generation whose financial journey starts at zero, rather than waiting until they are adults.
So it is less about the immediate cash and more about locking in a lifetime of domestic liquidity.
Precisely. And honestly, the optics are undeniably strategic for the politicians involved. They get to point to the stock market and say they are giving every American child an equity stake in the economy.
It is incredibly shrewd. They are overlapping federal policy and private tech capital to lock down our domestic markets. But, to maintain that kind of domestic strength, you need absolute stability globally.
Which is the perfect pivot to the international stage, because our global positioning right now is under intense pressure.
Yeah, and you can see that leverage playing out in real time in the energy markets. So Saudi Aramco just cut their oil prices to Asia by the largest margin we have seen in 26 years.
A 26-year high for price cuts. That is massive.
It is huge, and it is the direct result of unplugging the logistical backlog in the Strait of Hormuz.
Right, because of the ceasefire in the U.S.-Iran conflict.
Exactly. For months, those massive tankers were just sitting idle. They were bleeding money on maritime insurance. But now that things have cooled down, the shipping lanes are clear.
And Saudi Arabia has all those onshore storage tanks filled to the brim. They need to clear out that physical inventory immediately.
So they slash prices to get it moving to Asia before their competitors do. It perfectly illustrates how physical supply chains react to military leverage.
Absolutely. And speaking of military leverage, Trump is heading to Ankara, Turkey, for the NATO summit. And the administration is using our current geopolitical weight to push some unprecedented demands.
Oh, the defense spending targets.
Yes. They are heavily pressuring our NATO allies to increase their defense spending to 5% of their GDP by 2035.
5%. I mean, to put that in perspective for our listeners, the top 5 European economies are currently only sitting at about 2.5%.
Exactly. They are demanding a doubling of their military budgets.
From an American perspective, you look at our tech scene, our military, our geopolitical leverage, and Trump has been complaining publicly that NATO just, quote, wasn't there for us during the Iran conflict.
He feels the U.S. bore the entire security burden.
Right. But I have to question this. This highly transactional approach to our alliances, demanding absolute loyalty and specific financial contributions, doesn't that fracture this historic coalition?
It is a massive risk. You cannot just write a check and double a nation's military overnight. Going to 5% requires a total industrial overhaul.
They would literally have to build new tank factories and secure new raw materials.
Right. They need new supply chains for steel and semiconductors. It is a 10-year physical rebuilding process. By demanding this, Washington is basically telling Europe that the era of relying on the American security umbrella is over.
Which is a terrifying message when there is an active, brutal war on Europe's doorstep.
Exactly. And over the weekend, Trump held calls with both Putin and Zelensky. This is setting up a highly anticipated bilateral meeting with Zelensky at the summit.
And Ukraine is in a desperate spot right now.
They really are. They just had a massive overnight bombardment that brutally exposed the gaps in their air defense. They're desperately seeking more Patriot missile batteries to stop these drone swarms.
But Patriot systems are incredibly complex and expensive. We have finite stockpiles, right? We cannot just print them on demand.
No, we cannot. So the administration is using that finite military aid as leverage to potentially force a negotiated settlement. But Zelensky needs those Patriot batteries just to survive the night. He cannot negotiate from a position where his cities are completely undefended.
It is just high-stakes military diplomacy at its peak, using billion-dollar weapons to force international treaties. But, okay, let's pivot from military hard power to something completely surreal.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
We have to talk about how the White House's influence is literally rewriting the rules of the World Cup.
I read the reports on this 3 times, and I still cannot believe it actually happened.
Okay, so if you haven't been following the soccer news, the U.S. men's national team star Fuller and Balogun, he got a red card in their last match.
And by the standard rules, a red card means you are automatically suspended for the next game.
Exactly. He was slated to miss the crucial knockout match against Belgium. But then Trump personally called FIFA President Gianni Infantino to complain about it.
Directly from the Oval Office.
Yes. He argued the foul was just, quote, incidental contact. And in a completely unprecedented move for a knockout stage, FIFA actually overturned the red card.
They just wiped it from the record. Balogun is cleared to play against Belgium.
I am literally laughing in disbelief here.
Yeah.
If you can just call up the head of FIFA and get a red card magically wiped out, do the rules of the sport even matter anymore?
It is a fair question. I mean, the Royal Belgian Football Association was absolutely astonished.
I bet they were.
They tried to appeal the decision to protect the integrity of the game, but FIFA quickly rejected Belgium's appeal on procedural grounds.
Oh, of course they did. I mean, look, American fans are thrilled to have our star player back, but the entire global soccer ecosystem is crying foul over this blatant political interference.
It is the ultimate flex of weaponized soft power. It sets an incredibly dangerous precedent. If Washington can just thumb the scale on a referee's call today, what stops another global superpower from demanding altered tournament brackets tomorrow?
It totally strips away the illusion of fair play. It just turns the World Cup into another extension of geopolitical arm wrestling.
It really does. But, as we wrap up this absolute whirlwind of global markets and sports controversies, we really want to reiterate something important to our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely.
In discussing all these intense geopolitical events, Sip&Talk holds no prejudice, criticism, or discrimination toward any country, group, or people. We are just here to present the objective facts and explore the mechanics behind the news.
Exactly. We just want to challenge assumptions and encourage independent, critical thinking in a very noisy world.
But before we go, we do want to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on.
Yeah. Think about what we covered today. We're seeing the line completely blurring between government influence and the private sector, whether it is the Oval Office seeding the stock market, directing foreign military spending, or literally changing the roster of a World Cup soccer game.
It is all connected.
It is. So are we entering an era where political capital is actually the ultimate global currency?
That is a fascinating question to ponder. Well, to all our Sip and Talkers, please do not forget to subscribe to the Sip and Talk podcast wherever you get your audio.
And a quick warm shout out to our old friend Mickey. Make sure you go watch his latest super fun travel vlog on his YouTube channel, Mickey to Life.
It is a great channel. You definitely need to check it out.
Absolutely. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.